So I'm not a quitter, I don't give up. I don't quit. I'm like a pit bull, I'm going to latch on until you kill me. And, so it was the struggle between being wise and being prudent and knowing when to walk away and reconciling that with being a quitter. So I've got that in me. I'm a fighter, man. I go, go, go. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm not the most talented guy in the world, but man, I'm going to outwork you and I am not going to quit, so no matter what it takes. And so I have that, whatever it takes, morally, legally, and ethically, whatever it takes to be successful, make it work. Failure is not an option, So that's me. So so in business, sometimes, businesses just don't work, right? It's like venture capital, man. I mean, 70% of what they invest in never works. So what I had to understand was everything doesn't have to work. Sometimes you have lessons that are more valuable in failure, and and they're 100 times more valuable than anything you'll ever have in success. You learn way more from your challenges, your struggles, and your failures than you'll ever learn from success. So sometimes you have to go through things to get you to the next level. So that was my first instrumental understanding of all those cliches, right? Failing forward, all that kind of stuff. It's one thing to read it and talk about it. It's another thing to face it and reconcile a nature of a fighter, of a champion, of a never give up attitude with, man, I got to walk away from this thing before it kills me. So that was the first time I ever had to do that. And it took me a while to reconcile that, That's it right there. So in my career, the biggest mistakes I ever made were putting people in positions that weren't ready for it and didn't come to me and say, I want this. So when it comes to a business, the businesses that I invested in, that I partnered with, and that I do now, equity capital with and things like that, it's either somebody who already has a business going or somebody who comes to me and says, hey, I want to do this thing, versus me going to somebody else and saying, hey, I think you can do this. Mm-hmm. So the best people that I've ever worked with in my companies and in any of my other businesses were the ones that came to me and said, I want to do this thing. So that's what I look for. So for young people, it's that desire, it's that, that innate desire to want to go do something. Like me, when I want to start a business, I just went to start a business. If I want to start a business now, I just go do it. And then I seek out the other parts and pieces. Now, that aside, there's obviously people that you can seek out that have experience that you can learn from, things like that. But from me personally, I will not invest in a company or an operator that did not come to me and that is not, put together and willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen, or until I'm comfortable that they're solid operators. So, promoting people too fast that weren't ready or weren't qualified, that was a huge mistake, just because I saw potential in them and I liked them and I wanted to help them, but people aren't always ready, for the next level. Yeah. And show you how they prepared for it. What are they doing to take action? How committed are they to it? So those are the things that you look for, is just that commitment. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, morally, legally, ethically, to make this happen. And those other people, didn't have it. And then you touched on it too. A lot of people have trouble, firing people. Now you want to hire better so that you don't have to fire, but you're going to face those issues. And it's always better to, you've heard, hire fast and fire quicker, that kind of thing as you're growing and you're starting out. You want to be really careful who you hire, listen to those gut instincts. And if something's not right, you always have that probationary period, take care of it quick. It's always better to take care of it quick. If you tell people, hey, this is a trial basis, we're going to find out if you're a good fit for us. If we're a good fit for you, we're going to know real quick. And if you find out along the way that it's not, you're better off taking care of it first and foremost. I know it's difficult, but you just take the personal out of it and you just say, hey, this just isn't a good fit. We're going to go our separate ways. Thank you. I appreciate it. And you just let them go. And then you also, the quicker you do that, the better. And then you also need to understand that some people don't want to advance. Some people are fine just doing what they do. And I mean, you need your line workers, you need your managers, and then there's people that are executives, right? Everybody has their comfort level. Everybody has their goals. Now, people might say, I want this or I want that. People might say, I want to be rich. But if they really did, they would do something to start making that happen. Pour into themselves, develop themselves, work harder, work later, they'll do something. But if somebody says, I want to be this, and then they're the last one in and the first one out, and, they're not doing anything to improve themselves, that's an indication that they're not serious. Business is hard. No matter what business you're in, business is hard, right? You're talking about dollars, and people are funny when it comes to money. People are funny when it comes to property. So for me, it's number one, understanding people, developing myself, pouring into myself, educating myself, learning as much as I can. Number one, I'm a lifelong learner, seeker of wisdom, always have been. Number two, it's trying to understand other people and where they're coming from. And, I guess probably the third thing is knowing that I don't know anything. So the more I learn, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know, right? It's like railroad tracks. You're standing on the railroad tracks and you can see so far. You walk to that point, you can see them further, and you're like, man, you walk to the next point. So, and something may look daunting and difficult initially, but then once you tackle it, you're like, wow, that wasn't bad. And then it's the momentum and you go. So knowing, I don't want to say knowing my limitations, but understanding my limitations, knowing that I don't know anything, and knowing that none of us are as smart as all of us. So that's mentors, that's your team, that's, everybody of the collective wisdom of the many, not the limited wisdom of the few. So those are the types of things that I've carried throughout my career that have helped me make good decisions, take the personality out of it, take the personal side out of it, the emotional side out of it, and look at the facts. What's going on? What do we need to do? And let's make a rational, non-emotional decision about how to move forward. How do we grow? How do we do this? How do we handle this situation? Because it's just, man, business is hard. Every single day you got tough decisions you have to make. The other thing is understanding is that if you're the owner, if you're the entrepreneur, if you're the boss, that's a lonely spot. You have to make the tough decisions, and you got to make them quick, and you got to stand by your decisions. Don't second guess your decisions. You never show weakness in front of your team. You never show vulnerability in front of your team. You are the leader. So I've always had a good relationship with my people, but I'm not at their house on the weekends. I'm not going out to dinner with them. I'm not hanging out with them. I've always kept that line between me and the employees. I'm the boss. I'm the leader. I'm the entrepreneur, not the boss. I don't boss people, but I'm the leader. So really it's about leading and what a leader really is. So I developed myself as a leader. That's one of the big differences. And a leader is a servant. So as a leader, I wasn't the boss. I'm in charge. I always flipped that pyramid upside down. So instead of having the CEO at the top and then everybody underneath and then, the lower level, I flipped it upside down where I'm at the bottom of that organization. My job is to serve everybody in that organization, give them tools, training, systems, and support to be successful, clear direction, and know in certain terms exactly what's expected and when, and then have accountability to those goals, measure the behavior, measure the performance, and hold them accountable. And then praise great performance in public, reward bad perform or redirect bad performance in private, goal setting, never reprimand in terms of yelling or screaming, but sit somebody down and say, hey, we didn't get the outcome, Stephen, we didn't get the outcome we were looking for. You didn't reach your goal. Tell me what happened. And then you're going to tell me, right? And I'm going to say, okay, how are you going to fix that? What are you going to do moving forward? And you're going to tell me. I don't need to, you already know you messed up, right? You're beating yourself up. Most people are way harder on themselves than you can ever be. So just understanding that, having compassion for the individual, but hey, we're not going to go out and have a beer afterwards or go have steak. But I am going to have compassion for you and understand you, and I'm going to hear about your kids and all that, and I'm going to be interested in your life, but we're not hanging out. We're not, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of that. But I guess first and foremost, developing myself as a leader and wanting to be a great leader to serve others, not to boost my own ego or to launch my own career or to put myself on some pedestal. I love serving people.